Hello, this is Justin and welcome to 4am Art, and today we are going to be drawing this lily and it'll be a front view, so this should be pretty straightforward with the 6 petals. So we'll go ahead and start by drawing the center structures, and you have to imagine where the center of the flower is, and coming off the center will be these dark oval structures called anthers. And if you imagine the center, they're going to be kind of randomly coming out of it. So imagine it first and then draw these filaments that connect the center to these anthers. So the filaments, of course, are going to taper out a little bit towards the anthers, and like I mentioned, they're just going to be coming straight off. And you will want to make these a little bit curved, of course, and make it look as natural as possible. So additionally, in the center of the flower is the stigma, another part of the reproductive system, and it's a little bit bigger and definitely longer. We'll go ahead and start drawing the 3 petals that are by the front of the flower, and there'll be 3 other petals that kind of are behind these front 3 petals. So make these fairly irregular edges just to make it look more natural. And of course, you could remember to use a pencil if you want to mark it down first. And what I'm using here is I'm just using a extra fine Sharpie, which gives me a nice thick line, but you'll see later as we add in more details, I'll be switching to the finer pen. And the difference in width of the pen line definitely makes it pop a little bit. And as you notice here, I'm now with using again my Micron pen, which I started initially to draw in the filaments. And these light lines just help to convey the surface shape of the petals and the undulations and possibly wrinkles. And you don't have to draw it all the way. Notice here that I actually kind of interrupt the line. Initially it's a solid line and then kind of interrupt it. And I generally just start from the tip of the petal and don't go all the way to the center. So just make these kind of random as I'm doing here. Notice that I sometimes go back and make the other lines a little bit thicker, and you don't really want the lines to be totally even anyway. It'll just look nicer if there's some variation in the line width. Now I'm adding some shadows for the center parts of the petal, and this just helps to show that the petals, as they go toward the center, are kind of diving into the center. So we do this by just adding extra lines. As the lines are closer, of course, you get a darker tone or shade, and that basically gives you the shading that you need to give it more dimension. Again, I'm not really continuing on, drawing these lines coming from the center. I don't go all the way across the petal. And here I'm adding a little bit of a cast shadow coming from that front petal onto the back petal. And this just, again, gives it more depth to your flower and kind of pushes this particular petal back into the background. So just more detail lines. And now I'm going ahead with some of the finer details of this particular lily. And what this has are just these little dots or marks, mostly closer towards the center of the petal and not so much at the tips. So just make these random. Notice these are just small circles, and they get smaller as I go towards the center of the petal. Here I'm making that line a little bit thicker for the reproductive part there. And as I go into finer detail here, I'm just putting dots now. So again, these detail spots are a little bit thicker, and they become smaller dots as they go towards the tips of the petals. So here I'm getting close to finishing this line drawing. Feel free definitely to use a pencil first if you're more comfortable with doing that, and then follow up with a pen. So now I'm using colored pencils. Actually, these are watercolor pencils, and adding a little bit of color. The lilies, of course, come in many different shapes and colors. This particular one is mostly white with some green, mostly towards the center of the base of the petals. And I'm just roughly putting it in quickly, and I'll use a water brush then to spread it around. So use the techniques I showed here, the overlap, the use of fine lines, varying the lines. The fine lines, of course, add really nice detail, and the variation in line definitely makes your drawing a little bit more interesting. So I hope you found this useful, and if so, please like, share, subscribe for more step-by-step tutorials. I will also draw this lily from a different angle, which is a little bit more advanced, using perspective and foreshortening, and definitely step by step you can also do those. So thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.